Today's episode of Tiling Connect is brought to you by Lux's Grates, the leaders in aluminium drainage, which are UV stable, rust proof and customisable on site. Available in your local tile or plumbing shop. Hey everybody, Mark here from Tiling Connect. Welcome to today's episode. I have another fantastic guest on with us today, someone that I recently connected in with online, and that's going to be our theme today. It's going to be talking about digital marketing. I'd like to welcome to the show Natalie Grace from Initiation Co. Hopefully I've said that right, Natalie.
Yeah,
welcome.
That's it. Thank you, Mark. It's such a pleasure to be here speaking with you today.
Yeah, thank you. You too. And thanks for. I love the online digital communities, right? When you have the time, of course, obviously, I'd love to spend tons more time in there, but there's only so many hours in a day. But when you actually do connect in with people, it's actually pretty cool, and the things that you can learn. So, our podcast is obviously all about tiling and the industry that I work in, and when we connected, we were talking about marketing and that sort of stuff, and I think that's where the synergies were, which were awesome. So I would love to start off today's episode by really getting to know a little bit about your background, and our community would love to know a little bit more about you and what pathway you jumped on to get here today.
Yeah, so I'm Natalie. I'm from Initiation Co. I founded it's a digital consulting agency this year after having quite a long background doing digital marketing, digital project management, digital production for big businesses, small businesses, corporate government, everything in between. I took a little break, but I really have my passion kind of stoked again, remembering how much I enjoy working with small business and helping small businesses solve their problems and become more efficient and effective in their digital marketing. So my background, I am qualified or got out of uni qualified as a photographer. So I started out in actually online, like a catalog photography when in its early stages. And I'd always enjoyed sales as well. So while I was studying, I was working for some pretty big brands, Hewlett-Packard in sales. I was working also in e-commerce with a very large cosmetics retailer, beauty retailer in Australia. And I learned a lot about what it is to market a business online in these early stages, these foundational stages. I kind of got bored with working in such a solitary environment with photography. However, I always loved working online. So that led me to be building websites. And eventually I got my start professionally in managing apps, actually with Yellow Pages in Australia. So I've got this connection with trades and services, and I have that from my family as well. My parents both run small businesses, with my dad working as a floor sander. So I've had exposure to what it is to work in the trades since I was a little kid. And yeah, I'm always fascinated by the different ways we can use the digital space and online marketing to promote and share what we do, make connection with people, whether it's customers or through networking, to just spread our message and the work we do in the world.
Wow, that was perfect. Perfectly said, and that was great. Thank you for sharing so much. And so the business is new, early part of what you're doing. That's terrific, but certainly you've jumped from step to step to get where you are today, and that's cool. Big box, like the photography side of things. Tell me a little bit more about that, like because I'm interested to know, what does that look like? What do you learn, like in that sort of trade?
Yeah, I guess it is the trade, isn't it?
Yeah.
Especially with what I was doing, I actually was drawn to it from an artistic perspective. But when I finished, it's really hard to make money out of art photography. And I really liked honing my skills in taking photos of products. So that's As far as what I learned, there's kind of practical aspects of photography, and then there's more artistic and theoretical aspects. But I really loved playing with light and composition, and that's
Mm,
really in a very basic form what product photography is. It's all about
yeah.
composition, and it's all about making sure that you're using space and light to make the product look as amazing as it can possibly look. So yeah, that's really how I got my start, and I was able to work for a few years running my own studio, doing very finicky technical photography for cosmetics products, which are highly reflective. So was always a
Yeah.
challenge, but a fun challenge.
Did you, with the skill that you have in that space, did you find, and we were talking about this a little bit earlier on, um, about me living in Melbourne and
Mm.
having a bit of a conversation about that. Did you find that you were doing a bit of that photography during COVID in Melbourne? Was that something that you were sinking your teeth into a little bit, or was it
No. So here's the
no?
thing. I was doing photography, oh, I'm showing my age now, 15 to 20 years ago. That was when
Oh
I was
wow,
working in that part of my profession. But I found my way to working in online, and actually I got so burnt out on the aspects of photography was my passion growing up.
yeah,
But I burnt myself out making it my career, and I haven't really, unfortunately, touched a camera much since, to be honest. So I did some
wow,
travel photography when I was traveling the world, but
yeah,
it's not something I've returned to. I think about it sometimes,
yeah,
and in COVID, it would have been a really interesting time to be taking photos of Melbourne and Victoria.
mm,
Um, but yeah, it's not something that I touched at that time. No.
wow. Well, you look great. Although you're talking about it, 15 years ago. I'm trying to connect all the dots, but anyway, I just look. Look. Let's so Initiation Co. Tell
Yeah.
me more about that. I mean, it's a new company.
Yeah.
You call it a startup, right? You obviously kicking goals. And what was the inspiration behind getting into that?
Yeah, like I said, I really missed working with small business. So throughout my
Yeah.
career after photography, I've worked with some pretty big companies in government. I've worked in agencies as well as managing contracts on client side. So I've seen all aspects, and I really love working with small business. And when I thought about how I can help small business, what can I do differently to other people offering digital consulting services, because that's what I specialize in now. It's really providing value and demystifying the digital space for small business owners, because I know firsthand we often don't have much time to immerse ourselves in learning about what digital marketing is, all the different channels, all the different strategies. It's so time consuming, and it can make it seem really scary and really complicated, but it's
Mm,
actually quite possible to break it down if you focus on the main priorities. And that's really what's driving me to work with small businesses, to help demystify digital marketing for them and to help them feel empowered
mm.
in the marketing they're doing for their businesses online.
Okay. Yeah, awesome. Well, look, let's explore that a little bit more because obviously there's a number of different marketing aspects to how you can do things online, social, and through social media, digital
Mm,
marketing, websites, that sort of thing. What are the sort of the different? I suppose from my perspective, can you give us a bit more of an overview of the different marketing channels and
yeah.
which offer the best ROI, best
Yeah.
return on investment? Particularly I suppose in that trades and tiling niche. That
Mm,
as being in that trade space, obviously that's our community, and if there's any relatable facts there you can share, and
yeah.
also what areas of the marketing should they avoid? Like what are the areas that provide low or possibly no good ROI?
Mm. Yeah, that's a really good question. Um, so there's lots of different marketing channels, and you can really feel swamped and overwhelmed when you're trying to like do everything in every channel. It's just not
Mm.
possible. So it's really, you ask a really good question: which ones offer the best ROI specifically for the tiling trade, but trades in general. I definitely think websites are worth gold. It's
Yeah,
basically
really?
like,
Yeah.
yeah, absolutely,
Okay.
because that's where you can do a lot of your good, search engine optimization, your on-page stuff, because there's
Yep.
different aspects of SEO. So I definitely say websites are a super important channel, and you want to see that as the face of your business. In marketing, we talk about a customer journey, and it's the same with trades as it is with say e-commerce, for instance. When someone decides they need something, there's a problem that arises, and they go on a journey through realizing the problem to solving the problem. And so you want to reach them at the really important moments on the journey where they're at the point of researching and then considering and making a decision.
Mm.
And then if you're in a business where there's a possibility for repeat custom, you also want to be in that retention space as well. And it's, if you think about it that way, not every channel is great for every step on that journey. So different channels serve different purposes. But at the very beginning, when someone has a problem, say that they have, they're renovating and they know they want to redo their bathroom and they want a good tiler, they will be in a planning stage when they're researching, okay, who are the tilers around in my area? Which ones have the best reputations? Which ones do the work that I'm seeking? Whether it might be like super creative or it might be really budget focused. So they're thinking about what they need, and they're doing this research like stage of their journey. They're going to be seeking online. So they're going to be doing Google searches. They're going to be talking to people in their network, whether that's in person or online, to see if they can find any recommendations. They might be looking in business directories. So at that stage of the journey, that researching phase, when they're trying to narrow down who they actually want to contact for, say, a quote or for some more information, that's where, the search engine marketing, the search engine optimization, and being, listed in business directories is really important. Also making sure that you're appearing on local search, on local Google search, and that you've got decent reviews up there, because I think it's very hard to avoid reviews in this day and age, and people really do consider those when they're making a decision. And then once they've gotten through that research phase and they've got a short list, then that's where your website is key, because they're going to be comparing the different options, the different service providers, to see who's like most aligned with what they're actually seeking. This is where you get to show your values, your USP, your unique service proposition, what makes you stand out from your competitors, what your values are, and your personality as well. So all those things you get to showcase on your website that don't get much airtime anywhere else up to that point. So I think websites are super important for really promoting your brand and what you do. And then after that, you've got things like email marketing. So if someone's filled out a form on your website, you want to make sure that there's, ideally an automated process, but at least an organized process to stay in contact with them and make the most of that lead. So yeah, social's also important there, but I think social we have to be careful about with social media platforms, because say Instagram, and if we're talking about paid advertising especially, it can be a bit of a money pit. We have to understand our objective here. So brand recognition is really great for a platform like Instagram, but might not drive that many leads. Whereas Facebook, where people hang out in community, like where we met and how we connected, having something in common, is a really useful place to be spending some time. Not too much time, because it's always a temptation with social media. We can feel overwhelmed. But if you're connected in with your community, your location, your local area that you market to through things like community pages, buy, swap, sell pages, those kinds of pages on Facebook are such valuable places to get leads, because people are going there and actively asking for recommendations for tilers, for instance, in their area, because they need something done. So it's kind of like a place where there's warm leads. And if you're there making sure that you're involved in that community and checking in those posts every, a few times a week, you can be responding and getting leads that way. And once you build a reputation, you can also have people there doing marketing for you for free, saying, I've worked with this guy, he's great, here's his details.
Yeah, and that sort of goes back into that review piece, right? And ensuring that you're looking for reviews or seeking reviews and having some sort of platform where you can actually capture reviews and use that to your advantage, and whether that
Yeah.
be through website or social or digital media marketing, or email marketing, whatever it might be, you can use it. Well, I don't want to make too many assumptions because I'm interviewing the professional today. I'm not the professional. But yeah, that's how I see things. But I'm very interested in and picking up on one thing you said earlier, and it was it was part of a question that I had a little bit for later on. I was very unsure about whether or not websites were like a that they fitted in within that criteria of you should do it. I
Yeah.
was always of the belief that websites were becoming a little bit antiquated and that digital media was taking over in every aspect.
Mm.
And then when I did my website for Tiling Connect, I only did it about probably about 3 or 4 months ago now. It was part of my 2023 planning.
Mm.
Yet I used a very basic template and platform to set it up. I haven't had, I'm not driving it as much as probably someone in the trade is, because they're actually
Mm.
out there. The trade is their business. That's what they do every day. And I have a day job. So it's a very different thing for me. Yet when I started creating it and putting it together and getting my creative juices flowing to do all the colouring in department stuff, it was a lot of fun putting it together.
Yeah.
It's actually quite simple. And these days, a website creation is really easy compared to 10 years ago. Like it took me a couple of hours just to put something together, because it's all template derivative, and you
Yep.
can just copy and paste, and you put it together and you
Mm.
go, oh wow, that's actually pretty cool. I'm an artist.
Yep.
But anyway, getting back to my original point, I was sitting on the fence about websites, about their use and whether or not they actually added any value.
Mm. Yeah, and it's that's a very fair point and question. From my perspective, I think we all spend heaps of time online, but we're not
Mm,
always on social media. We're often shopping on websites, we're doing
yeah.
research on websites. Social media, when used effectively in business, leads you off social media onto your real estate online. And that's what's valuable about a website, because you get to control that. The other
Mm,
thing that's a bit dangerous about having full reliance on social media platforms is that their algorithm changes, and even SEO for that matter. Google algorithm changes, and one day you can be doing really great, and the next day all of a sudden something's happened in their system, and you are not seeing the same traffic. You're not seeing the same interactions with your content. You
yeah.
need to have a diversification of marketing activity and marketing campaigns to make sure that you're not overly reliant on any one channel. And all of those channels can basically lead to your website. So another way to think about it is think about when you're trying to shop around for a tradie.
Yeah.
Recommendations are really important, but you probably wouldn't book someone without checking out their website, right?
Definitely not. No, every time. It doesn't matter what I'm doing. I use websites a lot. Like my partner and I recently just bought or purchased, I should say, some external blinds for our balcony, and it was all website based,
Hmm.
research and reviews, and looking at different companies and things like that. Yeah.
Yeah. So sometimes you can get a decent website, say out of um, like a premium listing with a business directory, and that might serve you. But
Mm,
you want to make sure that whatever website you have, and like you said, it's actually so much cheaper and easier to put together a website now than it was a while ago. You needed a developer, and you wouldn't always know how to use it in the admin panel or the back end. It was very complicated to manage and update yourself. It's so
yeah.
much easier now. If you need to do an update quickly, because say you change your phone number or you're changing your pricing or you've got a new product, you can do that so easily on your own without even needing like an old webmaster. So
Yeah.
it's definitely cheaper and easier to manage a website than it used to be. Um, but yeah, I think it's super important, because that's ultimately where people go to check that you're professional.
Mm,
If they want to know if you have an ABN, they're going to look on your website to see if it's listed somewhere. They're
yeah.
going to check. They're going to check if you look dodgy or not on your website. So that's why
Yeah.
it's important to have the website, because that's where you can show that you're a professional, and
Mm,
here's my values as a professional, and here's the services I offer. And if they if they gel with what you're offering, they're very likely to get in contact if they've made it so far as your website.
Yeah, I posted a social media post in the last couple of days on my social channels, because the two channels that I typically focus on for my digital media marketing are Instagram and LinkedIn.
Yep.
They tend to be the best ROI for me
Mm.
in terms of sharing the message and building the community and getting more people on board with what my ultimate vision and mission is for Tiling Connect. And one of the things, and we talked about in this particular post, we talked about making sure that you're comfortable with the contractor that you're going to choose to do the work for you. Are you looking for a water drainage solution that serves its purpose and adds a touch of elegance to your space? Lux's Grates are here to revolutionise your indoor and outdoor spaces. Whether it's your shower, bathroom, balcony, pool, or any other area, Lux's Grates is the ideal choice. It's quick and easy installation that you can bang out in just over an hour. Their standard grates offer a classic and timeless look, while the next generation style adds a modern twist. Lux's Grates are made of high quality anodized aluminium, ensuring durability and longevity. So, and that forms part of that selection process of selecting the right tiler. So, yeah, to that point. And also, one of the other things that I found out recently, and it was just through listening to, could have been Alex Hermosi or one of the other, digital media marketing experts that are global. And one of the things with social media is that the information that you've got on there, it's all borrowed. You don't own it. It's owned
Yeah.
by those companies. So if you're not capturing the data of your customers through your website, then if anything happens and those accounts get frozen or you get locked out or those platforms decide to suddenly close their doors, it's all gone.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to start again if you can capture that data. And the best way to capture that data is through a website.
Yeah, definitely. I see this a lot actually in the networks that I'm a part of with people who are maybe more fashion based, who rely a lot on a platform like Instagram. And all of a sudden one day, it's not just that the algorithm changes and they have less reach. Whole accounts disappear and you get locked out and you don't get it back. I've seen this more than once and it's devastating. And
Yeah.
in many industries, your website's your valuable real estate, and then your email list is super valuable too, because that's your customer list that you own. If your followers went missing on Instagram, you're never going to get them back.
No.
But you own your customer database, and the way they really get into that database is either through giving you a call and you get their details that way, but usually through your website, through forms on your website.
Yeah, very cool. Well, moving on, because I've got many questions today, of course, and I don't want to keep you all night. The tiling podcast, mindset is very much centered around strengthening the business of tiling.
Yep.
So, what do you believe would be the most important digital marketing, activities tradies should consider using to help promote their brand, I suppose, promote and build their brand, and also target their desired audience, like who they're trying to talk to?
Yeah, I think to take it one step back, I think this is a really good question, because before we invest any time or money into digital marketing campaigns, you do want to have some of those really important questions answered, like who are your target customers? Who is your ideal customer? You want to know as much about them as possible, and then where they hang out, and what they care about, what values are important to them, and what drives their decision-making process, so that you can tailor what you're offering, whether it's organic content or whether it's paid ad messaging, to resonate with them and those parts of your ideal customer. So the other thing you want to also understand is your goal or your objective. So we think that we can assume that every time we engage in some form of digital marketing, it's all about generating sales or leads. But often there's other aspects too. Brand awareness is a really important part. If you're a new business, you're going to be doing a lot of brand building to begin with, to get your very first customers. And then you're going to be leveraging reviews and their recommendations to build on your business and start getting more into that growth phase where you're focused very heavily on lead gen. So you want to know your goals and objectives, and then you also want to know your target audience, and then you can decide, because the target audience question is very important, because once you know who they are, then you can know, well, where do they hang out, where online do they spend their time, and when they're looking for what sort of information. And that's how you decide which channel's best suited to your, what your objective is. So if you are trying to say do brand awareness, if you're a new brand, it might be that you are creating a special, and you could promote that on Instagram and try to get followers, but it's highly unlikely that Instagram followers are going to actually do business with you. They might follow you and make you look legitimate. They might make you look professional because you're not an empty page with 5 people, but they're probably not going to be the people who actually engage your services. So you're much better off creating an intro offer and going onto one of those Facebook community pages and putting yourself out there, with an offer to get and leading them to your website, a form on your website, so you can capture their details and market to them again in future, even if nothing happens from this particular lead. So there's your, say, at Facebook, a social channel working with your website to then, enrich your email database, for instance.
Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah, I just want to add as well, local search, it's not something I'm an expert in. I work with experts who are like masters at local search, but local search is obviously a really, really important one for tradies and tilers. Because location-based search, you want to make sure that the money you spend and the time you spend, because not all marketing we do is paid for, but especially the paid stuff, you're actually targeting and reaching people in the location you service, rather than wasting money, in your advertising, communicating with people who are in another state, because that happens so often. Yeah.
Yeah, wow. So I've got two follow-up questions to ask. Well, probably a statement then a question. Interesting. I never thought about how beneficial that using the local marketplace areas could be for a contractor. Obviously, I'm going to be a bit biased here. We're talking about tilers and people in the stone industry, but certainly that could be for a number of trades. It could be a plumber, it could be a sparky, it could be a chippy, it could be anybody that's in a local area, i.e. I live in Mango Hill, I could be a tradesperson and I get involved in a few of the local marketplace groups, and that could particularly lead to a lot of extra work. So I call that a bit of a golden nugget. That's I learned something, and I'm sure the audience and community will learn something. The other part is, so let's say that I'm a trade contractor today and I've been tiling for, I don't know, 5-6 years, and I don't have any media, and all of the work that I get, I don't have any marketing or brand awareness or anything like that at all. And all of the work that I get through word of mouth. Should I start doing branding and marketing today, or should I just keep doing what I'm doing?
Look, if you've got a good stream of leads coming in that you're able to convert without it, don't spend extra time and money that you don't need to. However, you can still leverage that existing customer base you have, making sure that you have a customer database that you can market to in the future if you choose, when times get slow, for instance, or when you have a new service that you're adding to your repertoire, for instance. You also want to leverage them for ratings and reviews. So making sure that it's great if they are, there's no better marketing than word of mouth. That comes, that's just worth gold. But if you can get the people at the end to make sure they give you a review on Google, then that's even better, because that's, this archived gold that's
Mm,
going to be actual currency for you, that's going to help for the people who are online searching for you or your services. They're going to see that, and it's going to help make you appear really good at what you do, trustworthy, dependable, quality, all of those things
mm,
that comes with a 5-star review. It's gold. So even if you're not someone who needs to market, make sure that you're making the most of your existing customer base so that you can add value without having to spend too much time or too much money if you don't need to.
yeah. Look, and I agree wholeheartedly with what you said. I think one of the key takeaways for me there is that you can never be 100% certain about the unpredictability of what's going to happen in the marketplace. And we're seeing a little bit of that at the moment. I know that and you've probably seen it as well in your circles, we've got a massive shortage of trades across all different disciplines across every state in Australia. But at the same time, we also have a little bit of dysfunctionality happening in the building and construction industry because we've had,
Mm.
I don't know how many builders have gone into receivership the last 12 months. It's a big number. And I don't think that we're at the end of that yet. And then we have a shortage of houses, shortage of affordable dwellings to throw
Mm.
into the mix. And then the prices of construction materials haven't particularly, they haven't gone backwards from when they've gone up. So it's a perfect storm. And I think, the marketing piece for anybody and marketing and branding piece of your business for anybody is critically important, whether you have a word of mouth pipeline or not. There will be a day at some point in the future that, something might happen and you may not have any customers. And then you've got nothing to lean on to be able to develop that pipeline again.
Mm. Yeah, that's why it's really good to have an awareness of what marketing is, even if you don't need it
Mm.
right now,
Yeah.
what the valuable channels are, how you can start for free. Like the amazing, this is why I love talking about those Facebook pages.
Yeah.
It's because it's free.
Free.
And that can be something that your family's helping you with. You might have a tradie wife or husband
Yep.
who spends more time on it than you do, who can be checking in with those pages regularly and responding. It could be something that you're scheduling for yourself to do a few times a week, but it's free and it's so valuable.
Mm.
So definitely knowing what to do and not what not to do. And this is something that I'd love to offer your listeners. I've got a little PDF that I'm making that
Oh,
goes
cool.
through the channels and what to do and what not to do for a tradie.
That's
So
so
just
cool.
having an awareness of that so you don't waste time or waste money on stuff that's not going to be very effective because you don't quite know where to hone your attention,
Mm.
where the most value lies. Even if you don't need it now, it could be really useful in the future to have that information in your back pocket.
Yeah, fantastic. Well, I will definitely get that off you at the end of the show, and we'll put that in the show notes because I think that'll be super cool. And thank you for being so generous and putting that together.
Absolutely.
Natalie, we've already covered that question, so I'm going to move forward to the next one.
Yeah.
What metrics should you use? So what metrics should you use to measure the performance of marketing, and what do you do with that information when you have it? Like, talk us through the steps,
Mm.
some of the critical steps that are involved.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I think the first thing is, like I said at the beginning, you want to know what your goal is because you can't really measure success metrics if you don't have a goal or objective. So, firstly, you want to know what it is. Is it brand awareness or is it leads, for instance? And then you want to think about your channel. So, depending on the channel, there's different metrics. So, say if we're talking about websites, it's actually really good if you have a website to know how effective your website is by maybe measuring its or doing analytics, kind of reviewing the analytics on a weekly or monthly basis. Maybe monthly's enough.
Mm,
And you have to know what you're looking for. So, say with a website, you're going to be looking at, well, how many people are visiting my website and what are they doing when they're on there? So, metrics like sessions, users, events such as leads, which comes through someone doing an action of, say, filling out a form, or even a sale. If you do have a buy button of some form on your website, that's all captured in Google Analytics, which is completely free. And then you also want to look at referral traffic as well. Oh, and bounces. So bounces is
mm,
another metric about behavior on the website. people are coming. You can see how long they're spending on the website, which pages they go to, but a bounce is basically when they leave. So how long before they leave, that kind of thing. And then referrals is really important. I think from a marketing perspective, that's always my favorite thing to check on. So, with all of the marketing channels that I am investing my time or money in, which ones are driving traffic to my website
Mm.
and how much? So, referrals, traffic referrals is really important there too.
Yeah, nice.
You can do the same thing with SE. So, say for the search console, Google have this Google Search Console. So, if you're
Mm.
registered to use the analytics of that, it's going to tell you about how many appearances your brand is having on Google Search, how many clicks you're getting out of that, or phone calls, because the phone numbers linked to that too. So, depending on the channel, there'll be different metrics, but basically, you want to know, how many people are seeing what you're doing, and what are they doing with that information? Are they
Yeah.
clicking? Are they calling? And how much you're spending, obviously, is super important too. So, one of the most important factors, if you have a marketing budget and a marketing spend, is to be measuring the ROI, because you want to make sure that what you're spending is returning um, value for you.
Yeah.
You don't want it to be an endless pit of money that's not driving any leads or sales for you.
No, exactly. And picking up on that last point that you make, and I know it's difficult to determine because everyone's situation and environment is completely different. But is there some way of understanding, like from a sole trader's perspective,
Mm,
what would be like an ideal number to kick off with if they were thinking about marketing and they hadn't
yeah.
done it before and this is their first crack at it? Like, how do they work out what number to put for their budget?
Yeah, that is such a good question. Look, I'll be honest, I'm not a financial kind of person. I struggle with my own budget. But I think you have to be realistic. I really do think there's a lot of marketing you can do for free. And if you're starting out or you've got a limited budget, definitely focus on what the free activities you can be doing are. And even just the analytics are free as well.
Yeah.
Um, then if you do have a budget that you've allocated, um, I wanna make sure, because I'm all about value here. I really value the money and the time of a
Yeah.
tradie, that anyone you're working with, even if it's yourself, so if you're spending money, say on paid advertising, um, set yourself a budget. A lot of the time people might be spending, depending on how competitive, their area is, their location is for the trade that they do, they could be spending hundreds of dollars a week,
Mm.
sometimes even a day on pay-per-click advertising. Be realistic with what you have to spend, and if it's not working, don't be afraid to turn it off and try something else. That's what I'd say. Everyone's different depending on
Mm.
how much money they have freed up for their marketing. But be aware that if you are in a trade that has a lot of competition in a particular area, that paid marketing is not going to be cheap. It's actually going to be quite expensive. So the more you can do for free, the better, because that's more about reputation than it is about competition of budgets. Because that's all it comes down to with paid advertising online.
Yeah, absolutely. And one thing, everything you said there was amazing. One thing in particular that you mentioned was don't be afraid to change. And
Mm,
that's really important as well. Don't set and forget because it will just, you'll get to, the 6 month mark, the 9 month mark, you might burn through, a few $1,000s and then all of a sudden realize that, I've had 2 leads in 9 months. So that's really important, and you can change. Like this is the beauty of digital marketing these days. I still remember. I'm showing my age a little bit now. I still remember when I was not even in marketing, but working for a pizza company, and this is like going back over 20 years ago. And I remember working with the marketing team, and the numbers that they were spending on marketing and everything was locked in for contractual periods, and there was no digital marketing media around at that stage. So it
mhm.
was very, very different. But today you have the ability to turn it off and on very quickly.
Yeah, absolutely. And you you don't have to give up either. You don't have to
No.
just turn it off and give up. Try different keywords. If one's not working for you, try another. Try different language in your messaging. Try a different image if you've got images in your ads. Um, just keep playing with it and make sure you're watching have those success metrics there with what your goal that you're trying to hit,
Mm,
and a reasonable like ROI. So the cost per lead, for instance, should be reasonable. If you can't
yeah.
afford 150 cost, for price for each lead, then you that's that campaign's not working for you, and you've got to start tweaking it to get that down. But yeah, just don't be afraid, because it can be very daunting
Mm,
to go into this space with advertising. So I think the main things to consider, in addition to the actual like content that you're creating, and there's best practices. Do some research online. Look up, best practices for effective pay-per-click ads,
mm,
and see if you can create a little template for yourself to make it a bit easier for you. Um, but yeah, you want to be informed with the format. You want to be
mm.
informed with some keywords to try out, and yeah, you just want to have, I guess, a curious mindset and a realistic attitude around what you have to spend and what your goals are.
Yeah, nice. These things that we create and share as a communities. You touched on email marketing campaigns earlier.
Mm,
Obviously, they play an important role in brand promotion and customer engagement.
yep.
Have you, in your experience, are there particular email marketing campaigns that are better than, say, a standard? Like, is there something that a tradie should look out for if let's say they've got a developed social media campaign and they've got a website but they've never got into email marketing before?
Mm.
What how should they create that, that part of the business for them?
Yeah. Okay. Well, the first thing's a platform. So you want to find a platform that you can use. A lot of it, just like the emails, our websites that are much easier to work with these days. Email marketing is the same. There'll be platforms with templates and drag and drop and inbuilt analytics. So it's actually quite simple to use now. And there's lots of good options for free as well.
Yeah.
I'm sure that the tradies that we're speaking to now don't have giant email lists of 20,000 people.
Mm.
It's a nice small community, and that's what we want. We want an engaged community. With email, it's actually, back in the day, you wanted the biggest list you could possibly have.
Yeah.
um, Gmail penalizes you for that now, because if too many
Oh, do
people
they?
getting if too many people get
Wow.
your emails but not enough are clicking, they just think that you're not that relevant, and not many
Yeah.
people want to hear from you. So it's actually really important to have an engaged list. A smaller engaged list is
Mm.
better than a bigger non-engaged list.
What
Um,
when you say small versus, say, a list of 20,000, are we talking under 1,000 would be considered a small list? Do you think?
yeah, but it's all relative. You
Yeah.
could have 60 people who are all your very best advocates, and they are actually the ones that are going to see your name pop up in the inbox and click on you. So this
Yeah.
could be people who are, renovators or in other trades. This is the other thing. Email is really useful because it's not everyone needs tiling done every week,
No.
like they do need to shop at Woolies every week. So that weekly email from Woolies is super useful. So you have to be really strategic about what emails for your business. And so
Mm.
I think thinking about it, Tyler, it's kind of keeping yourself on the radar, getting in touch with your customer base if you've got anything important to share. Say changes about your company, or it could be new areas that you're servicing, or it could be some work that you're really proud of.
Mm.
So don't just contact them for no reason, and there's no
Yeah.
need to contact them every week. So there's two aspects of email. You definitely want email that's efficient and functional when it comes to firstly capturing people that you're in connection with. So if you've got any kind of lead, making sure that their email address is inside your system if they've consented to be contacted by you, so that you can be in touch in the future if you want. So having that set up, that connected, is important, and making sure that if you've got forms on your website, that it's integrated, connected in with your email platform, so it just
Yep.
sends them there automatically. So that's the first thing. And then the second thing, you can actually set up what's called automation. So say someone fills out a form on your website, a contact form. you might know that sometimes you can't get back to them for a couple of days. So there's an email that automatically goes out saying, "Thanks for getting in touch. You can expect to hear from us within this time frame. You know, if it's urgent, call us on this number." Something like that, so you can set expectations. So
Mm.
that's a cool way to use automations. Another way to use automations is also after a job's finished. Um, you can trigger an email to be sent asking them to rate or review you on Google or on your website, and actually have the link directly to where they can review to make it as easy as possible for them, because people
Mm.
forget. So to jog their memory is very useful.
Yeah.
Um, so they're the more practical aspects of email, but then you've got email marketing campaigns, and this is really strategic. This is really around, I have something I want to share for a specific objective. So if it's to keep yourself, if it's about brand awareness and keeping yourself relevant, maybe once every quarter you're sending out an email showcasing the best work that you've done, talking about any
Perfect.
developments in the industry, stuff like that, reminding people of your contact details and what you do, what you offer. Um, you might even have, say, like a referral program where if someone refers you onto a friend and you land the job, they might get a kickback of some sort. You can be really
Yeah.
creative with this stuff.
Yeah, that's cool.
That's a good reason to remind people that that's happening through your email, so they
Yeah.
get something out of that.
Yeah.
Um, and then the campaign. So for tiling, it's it's probably more about brand awareness and recognition than actually sales generation through email, because it's not, unless someone's been sitting on something.
Mm.
You sending out an email being like, "Hey, do you need, here's what we're offering. Do you need tiling? Call us." You might land a few people who are in the position where they're like, "Oh, that's reminded me. I better give this guy a call." It's
Mm.
probably not going to happen though. So I think it's more about just maintaining a good relationship with your existing customer base and potentially promoting stuff that you have to promote. I doubt that in your industry you're doing sales and specials very often, but that's the
No.
sort of, yeah. If that was the case, then you would send out a campaign that's marketing that particular offer. So you have to be a bit more creative about how you remain in the minds of your customers, but don't
Mm.
overload them with too much, and make sure whatever you send is useful to them.
Very cool. Awesome. Thank you for sharing. I love that. Natalie, I suppose getting to some really finite questions about selection processes, what I would like to know, and I think the community would like to know as well, how do you go about choosing a digital marketing partner for your website? So your email, your social media, your SEO, all of that sort of stuff. What are the things that someone should look for if they're making a call on who's the right person for them
Mm.
or company?
Ideal Yeah, absolutely. It can be a company. There's lots of freelancers that do this. There's lots of little agencies like what I do, and then there's huge agencies. So what people are charging varies. You can
Yeah.
get a lot of cheap services on a site like Fiverr, using overseas freelancers doing stuff really cheap. But it's kind of the same. You can have the same issues no matter which option you go for on that on
Mm.
that scale of affordability, and expertise. You really need to know what your objective is. So before you even engage someone, you need to know why you're doing it. And it might be
Yep.
that I'm not getting enough leads. I don't actually know where to look for them. I'm going to find a digital marketing agency or consultant who does lots of different channels to guide me in the right direction. But I know that I'm engaging them because I want to make this much money in the next quarter or the next year, or I want this many leads a month going forward that I'm not getting. So you have to be really, really like specific with what you're seeking, because then
Mm.
that's going to tell you whether they're offering you good value, when you get their quote back around what they want to charge you. The other thing you want to do is make sure you understand, or they understand, like what you do, what challenges you face. Um, it's really important that sometimes we go to these agencies or these freelancers and they just tell us everything they do without asking us a single question about our business.
Mm.
A good digital marketer, the first thing they'll want to do is ask you all about your business so they can understand what you offer, what your USPs are, what makes you different, and how they can help you. because they're creative people. Their minds will start firing off ideas. Like, actually, I know there's a few channels that you're not working with right now that might be highly, valuable for you. Like, let's talk about that. So I
Yeah.
think alarm bells should ring if they're just talking all about themselves and they're not asking you any questions. You
Right.
want them to ask you as many questions as possible.
Yeah.
Then you want to be really clear about what your engagement is and what you're paying for. I see so often, and I saw this working in agencies as well, that people knew they needed to do marketing, but they had no idea how to do it. And they thought, if I just pay this other person to do it for me, it'll all be fine and it'll be great and I won't have to worry about it. But that's when you can get taken for a bit of a ride, because when you're ignorant to what you're paying for, people don't have to explain what they're doing. They don't necessarily share their results with you, and you don't know, you haven't thought to ask how they're actually going to solve your problems or meet your objectives.
Mm.
So it's really important, once you know what your goals and objectives are, to actually say, these are my goals and objectives. Now you tell me how you're going to meet these. What methods are you going to use? What
Yeah.
are your deliverables going to be? How many hours is it going to take you to do that per week or per month? And how much will that cost? Not just
Mm.
how much will that cost, because
Yeah.
you really need to, if after 3 months they're not getting you any results, you're going to have no recourse to say, well, I know you're not doing what you said, because you don't even know what they're doing. You
Yeah.
haven't got that information. So it's really important that in any agreement that you have with a freelancer or a consultant or an agency, that you have in writing exactly what their deliverables are, and they're very clear, and you understand what methods they're going to use, what channels they're going to be using, what kind of campaigns they're going to be doing, what is the work that they're going to be doing to meet your goals.
Mm.
And what results do they expect that they're going to deliver for you?
Yeah.
When they tell you those, ask that questions. What results are
Yeah.
you going to get me? And then how? How are you going to get me those results? Explain to me what methods you'll use.
Yeah, look, I really like that last piece, and there's so much really excellent advice there. I've got a few mates who are in the trade, different trades, and I know that if I reflect back on the conversations that I've had with them, I can pretty much guarantee you that none of them have actually done that.
Yeah.
Not because they didn't want to do it, maybe they just didn't have the knowledge around that's what they needed to do to ensure that they were getting great ROI,
Mm.
and what they were engaging in was going to work for their business. Because sometimes when you have these meetings and you go in and you sit down with a marketing person, or a company, or a freelancer, as they say, you have to do your due diligence. And sometimes you can have these meetings, you need to be courageous enough to go, look, thanks so much for what you've presented, but it's not me. And
Mm.
maybe just say thanks, but no thanks, and then move on and find someone else. Don't just accept that the person you've spoken with is the right fit, because that doesn't always happen. So, and
Yeah.
that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. You need to find the right partner. They may not have the experience in the tiling trade, and they may not be able to resonate with what the messaging that you're trying to get out there to your community in attracting more business in for your work.
Mm. Yeah. And on that note too, especially if you're new to this, don't get trapped into signing up for some year-long retainer package.
Mm,
Do a trial 1, 2, 3 months with the person, and ask them, what are you going to deliver for me in this trial period? What can I reasonably expect to see? And hold them to account. If that doesn't come through, you're not locked into something
yeah,
that goes for a year that costs you a fortune.
yeah, exactly. Natalie, great. Sorry, I've just I lost my place here for a second. What out of the box? I've a couple more questions before we head into fast track. By the way, so I'm
Yeah,
sorry if I'm going to go a little bit over time, but I will try and be fast paced with the final questions. What
cool.
out of the box ideas have you seen that have worked well in finding the best target audience online?
Mm. Yeah, I think they might not be out of the box to other industries, but I think not just relying on the paid and being creative with what you can do for free, like we talked about earlier with networking communities on Facebook and stuff like that. Something out of box for your industry might also be collaborations. you know?
Mm.
So it might be, I think the women in the kind of renovation design trades do this really well.
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
that they do lots of collaborations with each other across different like trades. So if, you might do you something that could be really valuable if you're a tiler is finding some interior designers in or interior architects in your area that have an established following, and give them some tips. So what you are is not you're not just a tradie, you're not just a person who works with their hands. You're also a subject matter expert, and that's highly valuable. So what you can offer to someone like that in a collaboration is that I'm a subject matter expert in what it takes to get like a fantastic finished bathroom.
Mm.
Let me give you some content, and you can promote my business. So thinking out of the
Yeah.
box about collaboration opportunities could be really useful, and they're usually free as well.
Yeah. Awesome. Perfect. I like that. Um, what what can Initiation Co. help our tiling community do so that they can conduct sort of a digital health check
Mm.
on their marketing, provide and again, what sort of bespoke opportunities could Initiation Co. offer post that health that digital health check?
Yeah. So I thought it was really important to, I can't help everyone, but something I can do that's quite quick and easy for me is to run a health check on people's businesses. So this can be for digital marketing, it can be for your website specifically, it can be for your online business. So if everything feels like it's all paper and pen and you actually want to digitize more of what you do in your business, it can be that as well, or a complete holistic health check. So basically what that is assessing the current state of your business from a digital business perspective. And what I'm doing is trying to find leaky holes in the bucket that are wasting you time and money,
Mm.
and identify opportunities that you might not be aware of that can help with growth. So they're the two kind of motivators for me in offering these health checks. And what you get out of it is firstly a report on what I've analyzed. I are calling out specifically the major issues and the highest priorities, fixes that I recommend you take a look at, and then a full checklist of all the things that you could be doing from a digital marketing perspective. Now, whether you get me to do those and fix them for you, or you've got other people, say in your business, in your team, in your family, or even yourself, to do some of that stuff. Sometimes we don't know where to start. We don't know what to
Mm.
prioritize. So that's what I do with those health checks. I give you a menu basically of stuff that you can work on to help improve your digital presence. In addition to
Cool.
that, I offer digital consulting services. So I do website builds and updates. I do email marketing. I love
Yeah,
setting
nice.
stuff up and basically training people to do it for themselves so they don't need me anymore. That's what I love
Yeah.
to do. So if you
Yeah,
want to get
awesome.
started, but you don't have a budget for someone to do this with you forever, I can set you up and then build out some templates and show you how to use them. And then it's all
Yeah,
yours.
cool.
Yeah, so I do that with
Nice.
websites. I do that with email. I do a bit of SEO as well. So do a bit of everything. But I really
Yeah.
have a holistic view of issues and opportunities. I think is my main strength.
Fantastic. Awesome. Thank you so much. That's excellent. And we will get to the part of the episode where I ask about how people connect in with Natalie. But for now, we have our final fast track questions because we always like to learn more about our guests. And hopefully you're prepared because I've got many questions, but I'm just going to choose 4 today, which is our
Okay.
standard pro forma. But I always like to start with one that's a bit quirky. And I like this one. This is a real. I found this one recently. So, room, desk, or car, what do you clean first? And why?
Desk.
Why?
It's really hard to focus when my desk is messy, and I spend most of my day at my desk. So the desk, I'd love to say all 3, but it's not true. It'd definitely start with desk,
Desk.
then
Yeah.
room, car.
The cars always last.
I love my car, but, yeah, it's usually it's outside, you know? You
Yeah,
gotta get into the
exactly.
zone. Yeah.
I'm a bit of a fan of keeping the internal part of my car relatively clean. I'm horrible at keeping the outside clean. So, like, um, Tell me a little bit about, well, actually, look, straight question. What's your biggest failure and what did you learn from that experience?
Oh my goodness, that's such a like big and good question.
Mm,
Um, Honestly, this has nothing to do. I've had many business failures, and I'm in them right now. Actually, I took some time off before starting Initiation Co to go into some different industries and try stuff out,
yeah,
and I think they haven't worked. And the main thing is, one, I was very happy to return to my skill set and rejuvenate my passion for helping people in business. But two
excellent.
is to not feel ashamed when things fail. Um, I moved to a farm. We were talking about this just before you got on the call. I moved to the
Yeah,
farm in 2019 that I live on now. We had grand plans for this farm. I was going to be a lavender farmer. I was going to be making essential oils. It was going to be great. And I'm just not that good at farming, even easy farming. And
yeah.
I'm okay with that. And I was really cut up about it for quite a while because it was sort of my vision. My vision didn't play out the way I expected. And I didn't love the work as much as I thought I would. And all of a sudden, the lavenders were just kind of flourishing on their own, and they've made a beautiful border of the farm that is so lovely to be a part of, but it doesn't necessarily have to be my business.
Mm,
It flourished anyway. So I think the main thing is nothing's ever really a failure. It's just an opportunity to learn and do something differently next time. But the main thing is don't hold shame around your failures.
mm.
Try to see them as learning opportunities.
Yeah, I love that. I think not everyone's on the same page, right, in life. We're all different people. We're all different humans. We all do things differently. We've all learned differently. But one thing that I've learned a lot in the last 20 years is that every time you fail, it's an amazing experience because you learn so much from that compared to
Mm,
when if you're just consistently successful all the time, there's not really any learning from that and you're not growing. So from failure comes growth, and then you do things differently next time, and you don't make the same mistake. Well, traditionally you don't make the same mistake twice. So
yeah.
love it. um, if you had to write a book tomorrow, what would you write about?
This might surprise some of your listeners and you perhaps too, because it's a different aspect of my passions. But it
Yeah.
would be a tarot reading guide. It's actually
Ah,
something
cool.
I'm already working on. Yeah.
Wow, awesome. Have you been working on that for a while?
Yes, I guess it's quite linked to my background. Passionate about for quite a while, and I work on the side, a little side hustle as a teacher, a
Oh,
tarot
cool.
teacher. So
Nice.
it's something that I've been putting together as I've been working. So yeah, I've been working on it for about a year. Who knows if it's ever going to be published or not? But it's a nice little passion project.
I'll connect you in with my partner. She's a Reiki practitioner, and she's also
Oh,
a sound healer as well. So she's
fantastic!
been studying that for about 3 or 4 years, and I think she's decided she's going to. I hope I'm not letting the cat out of the bag. She's not here right now, so it doesn't matter. But
No
I
one's
think
listening. It's
no,
fine.
no, no, no one's listening. It's my podcast anyway. So she's decided to sit for her masters. So master is it master Reiki person? I'm not. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think yeah. So she has a master. She has a master that has taught her, and
Yes.
she's going to take her through that journey next year. So
She's going to
2024.
become a master. That's incredible.
Yeah. So she's pretty, and she's an empath, and yeah, she's
Yeah.
very yeah. I know that we're probably going a bit off topic, and the people that in our community are probably going, "Where's this going?" But yeah. Anyway, I'll connect you guys together after the show. So
Love that.
I'll send you some details, and you can have a chat because she has a little bit of tarot stuff, but not.
Yeah.
I'm I'm so busy with everything that I'm doing. I don't particularly know the specifics, so I'll let you guys talk about that.
Cool.
Final question. What does your morning routine look like?
So my morning routine looks like waking up not as early as I should, especially given I live on a farm. Um,
How many
and I,
acres?
50.
Holy crap.
Yeah.
It's huge.
So Yeah, so I've got cows here and I've got chickens, and my first thing I do is let the chickens out of the coop because they free range in the back area here, and
Nice.
feed them and water them and make sure the cows have their water troughs are all fine. And then I get to look after myself. So I've got a pretty simple morning routine. It used to be a bit more
Cool.
complex with lots of yoga and things, but I'm in one of those down phases where just getting up and making sure the animals are taken care of, and that I'm at my desk at, 9 o'clock is enough for
Yeah.
me at the moment.
Yeah, it's interesting that you said that. I've probably the last 3 or 4 months been exactly the same. My partner and I moved away from. Well, we didn't move away. We moved from Kangaroo Point to Mango Hill. And we bought this property out here, and it's been an incredible adjustment going from apartment living to a house living. And I've just been focusing a lot on that myself actually as well. I had this regimented routine in the mornings, and I've just had to park a few things and just focus on my health and fitness at the gym, and the business that I work in, and these businesses that I'm doing as well, and getting a lot of satisfaction out of that. But certainly, I've had to park quite a few things. So yeah, I, I get what you're saying. I feel that.
Yeah.
Natalie, you've been incredible today. I know we've run a little bit over time. I do apologise. Sometimes that does happen when conversations are amazing like these.
All good.
However, I would like to ask. We obviously would love to connect in our community with you post show, and one way for us to do that is to obviously get all of your details and put them in the show notes that they can connect in with you directly, and obviously through different channels. How do people in the Tiling Connect community reach out to you and have a chat?
The best way is through my website,
Yeah,
initiationco.com. That is where to find me. I'm still fairly new and I haven't even set up all my own digital marketing channels yet. I've been building my website and sitting on Facebook doing my own lead gen.
yeah, cool.
Similar methods that I've connected with you and spoken about today. So yeah, absolutely. Check out my website, initiationco.com, and you'll see the services that I offer. And if you want to get in touch directly, you can email me, initiationcodigital@gmail.com.
Beautiful. Awesome. Well, Natalie, I will definitely put that in the show notes. Thank you so much. And I really appreciate you sharing everything that you have today. And until next time, as we say it on the show, stay connected, and we'll no doubt chat soon.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Mark.